He just tells me all the rumors are true. We were never going to pass a female. You changed my mind.
Hurricane Katrina was described as the worst catastrophe or set of catastrophes in U.S. history. Federal disaster declarations blanketed 90,000 square miles of the country, an area almost as large as the United Kingdom.
Sara Faulkner is the first woman to graduate from the Coast Guard's Helicopter Rescue Swimmer School and join the elite group. She went on countless missions, dropping down from helicopters to save people in dangerous waters. She gained national attention for her heroic rescues of 48 people from flooded waters in the course of one night after Hurricane Katrina. But during her 20 years of service, she also endured a much different challenge.
It was so bad. I wished for death. I don't know if it was ego or what, but I was not going to let them take that away from me.
All right. Welcome to another episode of the Rescue Swimmer Mindset Podcast. Today we have a rescue swimmer who's actually retired. She started her career back in the year 2000 as a helicopter rescue swimmer. And she's got a pretty tremendous history of cases actually serving in Hurricane Katrina. So, and the other aspect of today's interview, which might be a little different, is we're finally going to get a little glimpse of kind of the darker side that the military can often hold. A side that often is not portrayed in the media, which often depicts kind of the good and just everything that's heroic about the military. So we're going to dive into the nitty gritty today. But starting with the bright side, we have a poster child, a rescue swimmer today, and her name is Sara Faulkner. Sara Faulkner, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you. Very happy to be here. Excited to be here.
This is the first podcast where we're going to 3-0 it. So we'll see how this goes. We have Cody Wright and myself. So yeah, very excited to have you. And just so the viewers get an understanding of who you are, I want to jump right into it with one of your cases that really stuck with me as far as reading like on your articles. Just a little, building you up a little bit as far as like knowing about you. I remember just before I was going to join, hearing about you. So it really depicts like your poster childness. I think you were in a book. Is that accurate? I think one of your cases is within one of those Coast Guard's book. Yeah. I'm
in, and this is not trying to sound conceited, but there's things that I'm in that I don't even know about. So yeah, you might have read something.
A lot of literature. I remember having your name, and I hope to meet you someday. And I'm finally glad that we get to do this, even if it's virtually here. So yeah. So let's dive right into it with the case that stuck with me is when you were on a sailboat. Your case with the 45 knot winds in, I believe, the Bahamas. Yeah, let's dive into that. So if you would tell us about that case a little bit.
Okay, so I was stationed in Clearwater, and Clearwater, it's actually, if you see my coffee cup, Operations Bahamas, Turks and Caicos.
Nice.
So we deploy down to the Bahamas and Turks and Caicos. Like we work with those two countries, basically for drug and migrant interdiction. So we have 2 crews or 3 crews down there all the time on 2 different islands. So I was stationed in 𝐴𝐸𝐻, which is Andros Island. We get a case like in the middle of the night. It's really far away. We had to go get gas at like another island just to make it all the way out to like past the Eleutheras. And then we find the boat and, we're hovering over it, and it looked like the Black Pearl. Like it looked like the Black Pearl because there was no lights on it. The sails are ripped, and it's just like just going up and down, just black. Like it looked like a ghost ship. And I was like, so anyway, So they lost their sails, they lost their engines, they lost their generators, their batteries, like everything. So finally they like see us like flashing our lights over them, and they come out on a little handheld radio, and they're like, no, we're okay. You know, we're just going to ride it out. And the pilots told them, they're like, all right, well, that's your decision. But they had a thing called a spot, and it basically like sends out their GPS location every 15 minutes to, this is the one thing I don't know, like who it goes to, but I guess you can hit like a distress thing and then it goes to the Coast Guard. I'm guessing. I'm not exactly sure. I'd never even heard of a spot before. So the pilot said, if you lose that spot, like everything else you have is gone. Like if you lose your spot, there's no guarantee that we'll ever find you again. And as soon as he said that, they were like, oh, you know what? We're actually taking on water, so we're going to take that ride. I'm like, all right, well, time to get dressed. So, you know, dress out. I mean, I think I was already dressing out, but anyway. So then I get lowered down to swim to the boat, because we're not going to be able to do any hoisting because of the mast and the rigging and all that stuff. So I swim to the boat, and no lie, that is the hardest I've ever swam in my life. I was screaming in my snorkel, like screaming in my snorkel to get to it, because as fast and as hard as I swam, the wind was pushing that boat away from me. And I was just like, you know, like, anyway, I don't know if anyone's ever done that, but I did.
It's like powerlifting, but swimming. Like you just
what's that?
It's like powerlifting sounds for swimming.
Yeah, pretty much. Exactly. Like that was my afterburners, you know, like, so anyway, the boat's like this, and I see this like rope, this long line in the water. And, yeah, you guys don't know about this. Like you don't see any of this on the camera, on the YouTube video. So I see this line in the water, and I'm like, hell yeah, I'm gonna grab onto this rope so I can like hitch a ride now, you know? And they needed to be on the left side, and they were all on the right side. So not only did I need to get, you know, to the boat and then get them on, because, you know, the way the boat was going, it was like, anyway, so they needed to be on the left side. They were on the right side. So I needed to not only catch up to the boat, but like swim alongside it and scream at them to tell them, hey, you're on the wrong side. Why don't you jump now? So I see that rope, and I'm like, yes. So I go swim for the rope. This is not funny, actually. I swim for the rope, and a wave goes like this. And literally sweeps me underneath this like 64-foot sailboat with like a really wide stern. And it shoots up like this, and I'm underneath it. And I'm like, I just thought totally calm. I'm dead. Like, I'm dead. And then I don't know, I just like stayed soft. I didn't fight it when it like crashed down on top of me. And so I get, you know, pushed way, way down underneath the water. And then it shoots up again really high, and like the next wave sucks me in even farther. And now it's like, here's the prop right here, and here's the rudder right here. And I'm like, well, cool. So I didn't die that first time, but now I'm either going to get chopped like to smithereens or sliced in half. And then I thought, on that one, I hope Jimmy can pick my body up with the basket. And then same thing, by the grace of God, I was in the middle and I didn't get hit by either one. Same thing, got out. And then when it was just like level again, I just like scratched from the top like this. I just like scratched, and then I got to the other side, and then, you know, like screamed at one of them to jump in. So yeah, I almost died. And then I rescued those people. So that was a basket, and then that was a basket, get the guy in the basket, put him up, and then get pulled back up. And they dropped me down in the sling. I was so out of breath. And then you put me down in the sling where I'm like, anyway, I was pissed off about that. Why didn't I just do a bare hook? But anyway, yeah, I don't know why I didn't just say no. But anyway,
how big were the seas? Were the seas pretty big? Was that why? What was the sea? Yeah.
It was 12 to 15 foot seas and 20 foot waves.
Right. Yeah.
So, yeah, to slip in, I know.
I guess that'd be easier, but yeah, then again, it's exhausting to be in a sling.
Yeah, especially I couldn't catch my breath in that thing, and now I gotta go swim as hard and as fast as I can again. But now I've got the Charlie horse from hell. It felt like somebody hit me with a baseball bat on my leg. But that's comparatively speaking to what just happened to me. It wasn't that bad.
How long would you say you were pinned under? How long would you say you were pinned underwater for? That first time.
Oh, not a couple seconds.
But long enough. Long enough where your cardio and your heart's beating fast. I
had already just swam as hard as I could to just catch that boat, and then I have that happen, and then I still got to swim around. So it was just the whole thing.
Yeah.
Anyway, so the next guy was a basket, and that was uneventful. And then another, the third guy, and then that one was a sad poo. So we did the sling with him. Sling augmented double pickup, which just means we pick both people up. We go up together with the sling that goes around him. So I know you guys know what that is.
No, it's good. It's always good if you're using those abbreviations to explain, just so the viewers know. Yep.
Yeah. So, because we're getting low on gas now. So he jumps, and with him, there was a little bit of a delay because they're swapping out, from the basket, No, that wouldn't be it. But I don't know why we were sitting out there for a while. So I was just holding him by his life jacket, and when a wave would come, I would just hold his life jacket and pull over like this and say, "Hold on, there's another wave." I just smiled, and then whatever. And then we went up in the sling, and we dropped him off in Nassau and said, "Good luck getting home."
I think that's certainly one thing that people, I guess, underestimate as far as, I guess, the most physical challenge of being a rescue swimmer really comes down to what can you do when your heart's beating at 1,000 miles per hour? Can you maintain your composure if, God forbid, you get to be underwater or you get to be in these high seas? Can you maintain your composure when you basically just ran a whole out sprint? And I would challenge anybody who's listening to, just go run some sprints and try to hold your breath for a short period of time. And now try doing that underwater in a different element that you're not accustomed to. So that's,
I will say the next closest to swimming that hard was at rescue swimmer school.
Nice.
The next closest was rescue swimmer school. So
or
yeah,
what was the final or when was that challenge in rescue swimmer school?
Probably just when they're just, I don't know, beating the crap out of you, making you do all kinds of crazy sprints, and then underwater, just when you're super duper out of breath, and then they make you just go as hard as you can again.
Totally. Yeah.
I can't really think of a specific instance, but
yeah, well, we're definitely gonna jump into the whole rescue swimmer school part of it, because that's what a lot of our listeners are passionate about, is attending something like BUDS for Navy SEALs, or rescue swimmer school in the Coast Guard, or Air Force selection. So we'll get into that, but just because I want to really just kind of get into the awesome things that have happened in your career. One of the things is you served And I don't personally know any swimmers who have, but you served during Hurricane Katrina in 2005. Let's talk about that. Let's talk about, like, if you would paint a scene for us of what that looks like when you start flying into this apocalypse.
It's crazy. So I actually flew into Mississippi the first day, and New Orleans gets all the attention, but Mississippi got like obliterated. Like towns like Pass Christian and stuff like that. I mean, gone. So they had like the Pascagoula Bay, and it was 35-foot storm surge came in into these neighborhoods and stuff, like these coastal communities. Biloxi has all those casinos that are right on the water, because legally they can't be on land, so they're on the water. And these are gigantic, like Las Vegas style, but they're all have to be technically on the water. I mean, one of them looks like a ship. Half of that ship got pulled out to sea. You saw boats in trees. Actually, while we were in Mississippi, there was like so much clothes and stuff in the trees, because everybody's stuff from their houses went up way high into the pine trees, that you would think that was a person. And I actually heard on the radio a 65 was picking up 2 people in a boat in a tree.
Wow. And yeah, that's actually similar to some of the cases that one of our swimmers that we've had on, Nathan Fesky, was talking about. It's just like dodging these trees, because we're not really that trained to do these like tight hoist in like an urban area.
Yeah.
So like it must be kind of traumatizing to be swinging on the tip of a cable off a helicopter in such tight spots, right?
No, not really, because you're not really thinking about that. You're thinking about the people you're about to rescue. So you're really just like focused on that, and whatever, I mean, get scratched or whatever, you just kind of knock it out. And I mean, maybe the only thing that would be like a concern is if the cable got fouled and then they like cut part of the cable, and then you're just like falling through the trees. But those are like little minute split-second concerns that you have. They're not really like the main focus. Yeah. It's just your job, you're thinking about what you're doing.
Yeah. Just so for all you kidlings that are listening in, Hurricane Harvey, I believe, happened in 2005, and you think earlier you kind of described it as the levee walls that
Katrina.
broke. Katrina, sorry. Yeah. 2005, the levee walls broke. And basically this mass flooding occurred. It was I believe a category 3 storm. And I think they described it as 350 miles across. So it was just on such a massive scale, and it's something the country had never seen before. And yeah, the storms it created is something I want to talk about, because in one of the articles I read about you, you talked about dodging tornadoes.
Mm-hmm.
What is that like?
Well, so I evacuated with a whole bunch of people I was stationed in Mobile, and we evacuated to Jacksonville just to get the helicopters out of the path of it. Because when we evacuated, we didn't know where it was going to go. It was either going to hit Pensacola, Mobile, or New Orleans. So, obviously we couldn't take a chance. So we took everything out of the path, and we went to Jacksonville. When we were hanging out, basically just waiting for direction, that's when the levees broke. So it wasn't even over yet. And our ops boss, called the pilots and said, "You guys have to get back now. People are dying." So we, we were not expecting that we would have to fly back in the tail end of the hurricane. So the pilots were basically like head down almost the whole way, just completely focused on the radar and stuff, because there was tornadoes like everywhere, and you could see and like lightning, and just it was like the bumpiest ride ever. Yeah, and you could see where neighborhoods a tornado had gone through, because all of a sudden the trees all just looked like if you took matchsticks and just dropped them, that's what it looked like. And you could actually see like the path where it went. So yeah, it was pretty creepy be flying through that. But luckily it was daylight. So, you know, we were like looking really, really hard while the pilots were focused on, you know, the instruments and dodging everything, all the cells and stuff like that.
I'm just picturing like the movie Twister. Did you happen to like see any tornadoes?
Oh, no.
Okay.
No, thank God.
Okay.
That would have been terrifying.
Okay. Yeah.
So, yeah, no, it wasn't like there was one coming and we were like, ah!
Well, maybe not like next to you.
I'm picturing like a bunch off in the distance, just like tornadoes everywhere, you know. Like,
oh yeah, no, okay, yeah, okay, no, that's how it was actually. It was like these little like black squirrely things, and we were like
dodging them.
Yeah.
That's how I picture. I pictured like helicopters.
Well, you can keep it. You can imagine it. You can keep it like that. It's a better story.
Out, that's how it's gonna be.
It's a better story.
That's be some amazing photography. Let's just briefly describe like what's the mental and physical condition of these folks when you get to them. In one of your articles, you describe even their wounds were like already infected.
Yes. So those were the people in Mississippi. So we found it took us all day to get people, because there was, I don't know, maybe only like 10 helicopters in the area of like Mississippi and stuff. But because it's a coastal community and all those boats like rushed into people's neighborhoods, I mean, there was like yachts and like pushed up against a house and stuff. So people were getting on the radios, but they didn't know how to talk on them. So everybody they were just walking on top of each other. Like, you know, so you try to locate these people and they're like, oh, we're the white boat in the neighborhood. And like, from our vantage point, that wasn't helpful. You know what I mean? And then right when we sort of like start getting comms with them, you know, someone would walk on top of them. Like, anyway, it was a mess. Finally, we hear this faint little mayday, mayday, mayday. And me and the flight mech were like, did you hear that? So anyway, finally found these women, and they were probably in their 50s. And then they had their mom that was like in her 70s, and they were on this big yacht that was sideways. They actually just lowered me down under the street. And it was so weird because there was like clothes and debris, and I saw like a wine bottle that was like not even broken yet, you know, like just weird stuff that like sticks out in your mind. But I remember I was still wearing my booties then, and was like, note to self, change into leather boots, because there was just nails and everything everywhere. And so anyway, I get on the boat, and yes, like sores this big that were like green snot, basically. They were disgusting. And I was shocked at how bad that could be in just such a few amount of hours. They had basically kept their mom afloat in that storm water for like 8 hours. So they were just getting pummeled by debris and smashed up against each other, but they kept their mom alive.
How did they keep her afloat physically?
Yeah.
Wow. So wait, they're holding their mom up?
Yeah.
Wow. For 8 hours.
Yeah. And like I said, they just all had these big sores that were just like festering all within, I don't know how many hours, but you know, they were up through the night in those storm waters And they like, I don't know if they were holding on to something or anything, but the two daughters like kept their mom from getting like swept away and stuff.
Wow. Like when you get to this scene, how are they're holding their mom afloat?
No. So I'm sorry. I can see everything. So I'm like, I'm not saying everything. The water in Mississippi was up and then gone.
Yeah.
It flooded from the storm surge, but it receded immediately. Like I said, I walked to the street or on the street and then like climbed on the boat, and the boat was high and dry. And that's just where they were like hanging out after the water left. And then they found that boat and they had their mom like down below on like a bed and stuff, because she was diabetic and she was all, like going into diabetic shock and stuff.
Gotcha. Wow.
Yeah.
It's pretty crazy things. And just for people, I looked up some stats on Katrina just this morning, actually. And I guess like the updated stats are 1,833 deaths happened because of Katrina, $100 billion worth in damages, and 3 million people were without power during this whole endeavor. So I think what do you think the Coast Guard, how would you say the Coast Guard evolved from that? Did you see change as far as, how to operate in these horrific?
Nope.
Nothing?
Nope. We didn't do anything different.
Interesting.
Nothing.
Would you say changes should, because I'm assuming it was a trial and error period.
Nope.
How?
I'm going to brag about Coast Guard here. Our training is so good and so standard that we didn't do anything different. Okay. That's it. I mean, we didn't do anything different than what we're already trained to do. Yes, we had to like adapt and do, things that we're not used to doing. Like when I was doing the rescues off the balcony, the flight mech would lose sight of me completely because I would go underneath the roof, and so that was all just trust. So we did stuff like that. But honestly, there's a documentary called Berets 1450, and it's made by a coastie's daughter because she was like in film school, and it's the whole story of the Coast Guard's response to Hurricane Katrina. And she did such a good job. That movie is exactly how it was.
Interesting. All right.
Yeah.
I'll put it up for all of you guys watching on YouTube.
But our training and our standardization is so good. Like when I was rescuing those people and I did the 48 people the next night, I've never flew with any of those people ever before in my life. It was like, hello, I'll be your rescue swimmer today. And then you just fly off and take off. Like it wasn't like we had been this team that had, worked together for years or anything. And that's how it was for everybody, because you were getting the Coast Guard aviation descending upon Mobile and New Orleans, and people just mixed crews and took off.
It's pretty amazing.
And there was not any lessons to be learned besides how great we are. You know what I mean? Like, and how good our training is. I'm totally bragging, but we didn't have any major incidents, injuries, anything. It was just, that was a very proud moment for the Coast Guard.
Yep.
Definitely.
Now, you just said 48 people. What happened?
The next day, I took off on a Jayhawk, and we went to New Orleans, and it was still light out when we started. And you basically, it looked like a war zone. So that was flooded up high, depending on the level. But that's why so many people died, because when the levees broke, it just rushed in and people got trapped in their houses. So some of them made it up through the attic and were in the attic and maybe found a window or something to climb up and get up on the roof. So anyway, and a lot of them were trapped. And so we had to like use just like hatchets from, like the crash axe in the helicopter, things like that to break holes into the roofs to get people out.
Did you have to do that?
No, I didn't have to do that. I actually didn't rescue very many people off of rooftops. I did mostly a balcony. So we picked you pick a spot. Like there was the water up to the almost the top of the roofs of, say, a 1-story house. And then you just saw helicopters everywhere, like Coast Guard helicopters everywhere. There was fire shooting out of the water. I mean, there was fires everywhere, kind of like the Kuwait fires, but smaller because of gas mains that exploded and stuff. It was crazy. So anyway, we find this apartment complex. It's like a 3-story apartment complex. And we see that there's a ton of people there. We see a lot of women and children. So we're like, all right, let's start. Let's do it here. And we so anyway, we get it. And then like that one, when we find the balcony with some women and children, that one actually did have a tree that I kept like getting tangled up into. And then I would have to like kind of reach out and kind of just take luckily they had a really big teenage boy. And so I would just have to reach something out, like a foot or an arm, for him to grab me and then pull me to the balcony. And then I would straddle the balcony and then put the quick strap on them and then, the crotch strap. And then when it was still daylight, I would have to like hold them that way, and then reach like way over. And then, I mean, the flight mech was just seeing this much of my fingertips.
Oh, wow.
And then he would gently go, ooh, ooh. I mean, he did such a good job, and then barely lift me up. And then we would swing out from underneath the roof and then go up. So, yeah.
Yeah, I'm just thinking that logistically, of course, because right, a cable hangs straight vertical, but you need to get on a diagonal to get under this under this roof into this balcony. I'm just thinking even logistics as far as like not injuring the survivors on the way off of the railing, just that alone must have been just a tremendous team effort from the flight mechanic and yourself.
Oh, yeah, he did a really, really good job. Sean Beatty. He did an awesome job. He's the flight mech that, I don't know if you've ever seen the Navy recruiting picture where it's a _𝐤𝐸.
No.
There's a blue helmet and like it's for Hurricane Katrina, like, oh, we'll be there. And it's like, that's a _𝐤𝐸. Well, that's him.
Oh, very cool.
But anyway, he did he did such a good job. Yeah. So we didn't hurt anybody swinging out. Yeah.
And that day resulted in 48 rescues.
Yeah.
It's quite the career you had there, Sarah.
That was all in just a week, basically, right? I mean,
well, let me tell you. So the Mississippi, the first day was Mississippi, and I get back and I saved like 6 people. So I'm like,
yeah.
all proud of myself. I just saved 6 people. And then people are like, hey, what'd you get? How many do you get? And I was like, 6. And they're like, really? I got 42. I got 35. I got 56. And I was like, shut up. And they're like, no, I got 47 and 6 dogs. And I was like, what? Like, dude, you got to go to Mississippi tomorrow. And so I was like, got it.
Right on. I wonder if a dog counts for more points or less. It depends if you're a cat person.
I saved a dog and a cat.
Yeah.
So that would be like, that's actually 50 lives.
Yeah. We're going to get into, we're Tarantinoing this podcast, by the way. Like, we're going to get into your beginnings, but I just want people to really grasp how amazing your career was. And one of the things that, again, like, I've never encountered anybody that's done something like this as a swimmer is you went to the South Pole.
Yeah.
Wow. Let's talk about it. Let's talk about the South Pole. Why the hell were you there? What were you doing? Did you get lost?
Yeah, we got really lost. So that was like my only time ever, like, on a ship as a coastie. I'd been on a ship before, because I was a sea cadet, a Navy sea cadet in high school. So I'd been on an aircraft carrier and a Navy tug, and that's actually how I found out to be a rescue swimmer, was on the USS Kitty Hawk.
Let's put a pin in that. We'll get back to that.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
So anyway, so we go on icebreakers. We bring helicopters on the polar icebreakers. And sorry, there might be some barking. So anyway, we bring a navdet, and then really we don't do anything on the way there. Like, we don't really have a job. We flew out to a couple islands. I don't know what for, but nothing really big. And then as soon as we hit the ice, we leave the ship and we live on McMurdo, the science station, and it's on Ross Island. So that's the big U.S. science station. The ice, and it's the biggest science station.
This is on, like, the
continent of Antarctica.
Okay. Wow.
Yeah. So it's like a FedEx truck or something. Sorry. But anyway, as soon as we hit the ice, we left and we fly. I basically just flew as a BA down in Antarctica, which was really funny because the day that we left the ship, we were taking everybody, we had 2 helicopters, and we were just loading everybody's gear, all their stuff, because we were going to be there for 2 months. So our whole helicopter support kit and all that stuff. And so I was flying as a BA, and then here's like the AMT chief sitting in the swimmer seat behind me. And I'm like landing on the ship and conning them in, and I'm like, what am I doing? I'm a rescue swimmer.
Cool.
But anyway,
why was the chief in the back?
What's that?
Why was the chief in the back? He just gave you the reins?
No, because I was flying as the BA.
Okay.
That was just, I got assigned. They're like, yeah, you're the BA. You're going, and it was like single pilot basically. So it was one pilot and a BA. And we were just loading people up and taking them with their stuff. So there'd be like an AET2 sitting in the co-pilot seat,
No way. What?
Just like, you've never sat in the co-pilot seat?
No.
Oh, you've never flown?
No, I have not.
Oh, it's fun.
Yeah. Whatever, Sarah. They wouldn't let us in like 2017. No,
yeah,
they do.
I know. Everything got all.
No, they still do.
Everything got all anal retentive after 9/11. So anyway, yeah, single pilot and me, and everybody else was just basically packs with their gear, And so it was just like weird. I was like, this is weird. Like, you sure you guys even trust me?
Yeah, just so everyone knows, like, typically the swimmer's sitting in the back doing nothing for a flight.
Yeah.
And the AETs and AMTs are kind of running the show in the
air. And I'm landing on a ship.
Yeah, and that's just outrageous. I can't imagine.
Yeah, I'm like
doing that. Yeah.
I'm telling the pilot what to do. Anyway, no, it was fun. So basically our job down there is loading up scientists and all their gear and taking them to wherever they need to go and dropping them off. And some of them, the places were crazy. Like they were staying in tents. So if they got like in a blizzard, there's no way we were going to be able to like rescue them. It was kind of like, good luck. You are so far away from anything.
So why did they need a aviation crew for the Coast Guard? It was to move things. It's for preventive measures.
So they have PHI. I don't know what they stand for, but it's another helicopter company, and they have Hueys down there, but they don't fly over water.
Okay.
So our helicopters would fly over water to different islands, and like I flew with a female pilot, just me, and these two really young like female interns. So that was kind of cool because it was like 4 girls on the helo. We landed on an iceberg. Like landed on an iceberg.
But the helo landed on an iceberg.
How big was the iceberg? Was it
a big one? Like really big.
Yeah.
And they put like some kind of GPS, weather, just reading all kinds of, stuff. But everyone was like, oh, this is so cool, whatever. There's another iceberg down there that is called like B-15, and it was the size of Rhode Island. It's huge. And this was basically like a chunk that fell off. And you could hear pieces of that like B-15 like falling off and splash. And these were monster, like the size of a house or bigger pieces falling off. So like the scientists and pilot, they're like, cool, like exploring. And I was like, no, I'm staying by the helicopter, man, because this stuff is so unstable. And I was thinking like crevasses. So I was thinking like if the helicopter falls, then like maybe I could like hold on to like the blades would hold it from falling in the big hole. I mean, I don't know what I would do after that, but
the sad reality is you're probably likely witnessing here like signs of climate change, like firsthand. I mean, arguably, I mean, there's always movement and all that, but I think it's happening. Like studies have shown that it's happening much more frequently and in tremendous amounts. And, the water temperatures are changing. And like, actually one of the things like people don't really take into consideration, I guess, with climate change is the more these like ice fields, this whiteness melts on the earth, the more like a dark surface area is in our planet. So it's kind of a vicious cycle. Yeah. The more dark, the more
it's reflecting.
Light. Exactly. And then, so the more like heat is absorbed on the planet and thus more ice melts and so on and so forth. And so a lot of scientists are kind of pessimistic in the sense like it's too late, but you're like,
and then the permafrost is letting out all kinds of like carbon and CO2 out. So then it's like,
well, you were, I guess, having conversations with people that were there first, like, scientists. Did they talk about that? Was that like a big conversation piece while you were out there for 2 months?
Not, you know what? I don't really remember, to be honest, but yeah, they would. And they would, it was cool. They would do like these really long and deep core samples of ice, and they could read all kinds of cool information and stuff. But yeah, they're definitely.
Yeah. Like the history throughout the carats of ice. Yeah. That's
exactly.
Crazy. Wow.
But a lot of them were about like the biological stuff too.
Yeah.
So there was penguin rookeries.
Oh yeah.
And we would land on a penguin rookery.
So what is that? Can you explain what a
rookery is? Basically like their nesting grounds.
Okay.
So depending on it's not like the ones on the March of the Penguins. That's like super far away from where we were. I think it's like more like, well, it's not on Ross Island. But anyway, there's actually a couple species of penguins. So they would find a spot that's dry without really snow, and they make like little rock nests and stuff. And then they, it's like thousands of penguins and then their little babies and stuff.
So are these I don't know, these are probably the penguins like Robin Williams in Happy Feet, I'm guessing? Like with the little rock?
Yes.
Yeah. Were they dancing?
Adelie.
Were they sassy?
Yeah. They're called Adelie. And then there's the emperor penguins. Those are the big ones.
Which was the Happy Feet. Yeah.
Yes, I think so.
Gotcha.
Oh, those are, okay, I don't know.
I get all my references from Pixar, all my knowledge. I don't know if it's Pixar. All I know is Disney movies.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, that's cool. So what year is this?
It was 2003 to February of 2004.
Okay.
It was a 6-month trip.
Gotcha. Right on.
So we left in October, like right before Halloween, and we got, I don't know when we got back exactly, what part of the month we got back, but anyway, yeah, it was 6 months.
So this was on the Coast Guard cutter Polar Star?
Polar Star.
Yeah, which I don't know. I know that ship has had like tremendous difficulties as far as like getting underway in more recent years. I don't know. I think they finally got it up and running again. But
well, they cannibalized the Polar Sea.
Oh, okay.
To keep one up and running.
Yeah.
I mean, they're old and beat up.
Because correct me if I'm wrong, but I think the Polar Star a lot of its operations were typically in the north for the North Pole. Is that fair?
The Healy only goes to the north.
I gotcha.
The two classes, like the Polar Sea and the Polar Star, I mean, they do both. They do both. But the Healy can only go to the north.
Right.
Because the ice is thinner, where the Polar Sea and the Polar Star go down to the South Pole to break the ice.
Gotcha. Talking like just like the North Pole, I've done some research recently about it, and that's a secret war that America is, from my research, losing. Like the Russians have quite a lot of investment into. They are kind of closer in a sense, aside from our Alaska, but they have a lot more ground, and because technically it's international, but it's not. A lot of Russians have their bases, and they keep like expanding their range on. Oh yeah, they're just on the North Pole, and like unfortunately, the U.S. relies a lot on the Coast Guard as like their main, battle. Like people that have been up north for the Coast Guard have described like the tensions between the Russians and their ship, and how it's like there's unspoken. Like an uneasy truce type of thing. Yeah, but it's kind of like a war zone, and apparently that's one that we're losing because we don't have that much investment in the north. Yeah, we're not. Like I never hear about that kind of stuff. Because it's not big news. It's the North Pole. It's like a remote desert land of snow. Yeah, there's nobody. You think nobody's up there. Yeah, and I think like the three main contenders, if you will, is Canada, America, and Russia. And even Canada, I think, is doing a little better than America in that like realm. Well, I would say so, because it's like Russia's basically trying to creep and then come down or something. So if I was Canada, I'd be more invested. Yeah. And I think some of the higher ups do have that conversation. Is like, we're losing the North, but like, I don't know how big of a priority it is, but it is, it's like a big source of climate change, and having control of that is important. All right. I think, and one of the things I want to talk about is like, I'll just mention it. Like you swam in the international date line, which I had to look up myself for all those listening. Why don't you explain it, Sarah? So the international date line. So you got longitude lines on your GPS. And then you've got your latitude lines. So there's like the equator goes right through the middle of the earth. And then you've got the international date line, which is when they talk about Greenwich Mean Time. That's the international date line. So when we were coming back from Australia, and they totally fooled a lot of us, is they said that the X buoy, like
all hands, the X buoy is, coming up on your port side. So we're like, oh, cool. Because we would like actually believe that there was going to be like this big buoy that said like you're at the equator and the international date line called the X. Nah. No, there's not one.
There's no buoy.
So it was just a big joke on everybody who like ran up there to go see it. And then you're just like, ha, got me.
I'd like to think it's just.
But yeah, we had swim call right there.
Oh, nice. I think I had the swim call right there as well. That's cool. Like, cause like, I just picture the CEO going like, all right, let's prank these guys. Check your buoy, check your port side.
Yeah. Yep.
That's so cool.
And all these people ran out there, and all the people who had, done the trip before, like,
yeah, I remember that. I remember that same vibe on my boat. They might have done the same prank. I remember that. I think I was one of the people that got fooled and ran out like, what is it?
And then, oh, cool. I want to see it. Let me grab my camera.
And then it's more
Zeus, come here.
And it's more water like you've seen like the entire time. And the puppy.
He's crying, so he needs to come up on the bed.
For sure. Yeah, so just a fun fact for all you guys for Trivia Night International Dateline. Yeah, so it runs basically in between the Bering Sea, so just west of Alaska, all the way down to get kind of the east side of Antarctica. So it runs through the Bering Sea on the left of Hawaii, so west of Hawaii, and then like just to the east of Antarctica. So it's kind of cool.
But isn't I thought Greenwich was like in England.
I don't know, but when you say like is that like zero time, as in like 00? Like we're plus or minus whatever time. So that date line is the 0.
Yeah.
Yeah, I thought it was England too. So I don't know.
Well,
you guys
Greenwich
can fact
is in
check
England, but yeah, I don't know like where the actual place
Why
is.
they call it that?
Yeah,
I'm sure it has something to do with whoever founded it. But
yeah, probably.
Yeah.
All right, let's just
Lord Greenwich.
Yeah. So like I said, we're gonna Tarantino this with you today. Let's start. This is your career. So you've had tremendous cases, big saves in Katrina. You've gone to Antarctica. You've gone to the International Dateline. But let's start from the beginning now with the fact that you grew up in LA. Is that correct?
Mm-hmm.
You with your twin brother, which is always kind of cool. And then you started in high school, not as a swimmer, right?
That's when I started.
Okay.
Well, so I joined the cross country team, and I don't know why cross country team is in the fall in California, because it's still really, really, really hot there. And so I remember running with this girl, and we were just like, oh, you're like, because it was so hot. And she said something about the swim team. I was like, we have a swim team? I had no idea. And so I just always loved swimming. Ever since I was a little kid. I got a really crazy story if you guys want to hear about that, when I was 3 years old. But
do we want to hear about that?
Yeah, I'll tell it really fast.
Okay.
If you want.
Yeah.
So we lived in Canada. We lived in BC, and our across the street neighbors had a pool, and we had this little kid. He was like 6 months younger than me, and I was only like 3 or 4. And I couldn't swim yet. And he was swimming, diving, jumping in next to me, and I could really only hang on to the sides. So they put a life jacket on it, but it was like that old school life jacket, like those old orange canvas ones. Well, I remember, you guys might even not know that, but I remember the adults saying like once it's like saturated, they don't really work anymore. So then I was like, because I didn't want it to like pull me under. But I hated that kid could swim in the deep end and I couldn't. So I snuck over there at night, put that life jacket on, and swam all the way across the pool.
Oh, nice.
And I was like 3.5 or 4. So yeah, that could have ended badly.
Yeah.
But anyway, I really always loved swimming. I used to hold my breath in the bathtub, stuff like that. So I joined the swim team. And it was kind of that same super competitive spirit. They had the fast lane over here, like the varsity, and then, the slower lane. So I was like, I don't know what I'm doing. So I automatically just put myself in the slowest lane and just really loved it, and would start swimming as fast as I could. And then I would start like slapping that person in front of me's feet. And so they would pull over, and then I would ended up being the fastest person in that lane. And then the coach would tell me to slide over to another faster lane. And then I would, same thing, over next week or two, I was the fastest, and then slide. So I got to like the second to the fastest one in one season.
Heck
and that's like, because I'm so insanely competitive, and I wanted to be like those guys. Like I looked at them like, woo, and that's, just wanted to be like that. And then, like the relays and stuff. Oh my God. I was like the anchor, because I would like take off this, like I'd already be in the air at the time that they touched the wall. A lot of it has to be with having a twin brother, so.
Yeah. Having that competitive, like, yeah, he's a guy and I gotta like one up him, right? Like,
yeah, because he automatically thought he was better at stuff just because he was a boy. And I was like, I know you, dude. Like, you don't get a pass just because you're a boy. Like, I literally know you better than anyone else. Like, so yeah.
Yeah.
We were like neck and neck with everything.
And you started talking about your cadet. So like being on the Kitty Hawk.
Yes.
Yeah. What happened there? How did that take place?
So growing up in LA, and not only LA, but a Valley girl, I was not really into that scene, like the mean girls on high school. That's like what I went to high school with. And I was just not into that.
I go to
my
Berkeley.
brother. Yeah, exactly.
Berkeley.
Yeah, exactly. They actually talk like that.
Yeah. Let's just talk like that for the rest of the interview.
Yeah. So anyways, like I hated being a Valley girl. Zeus, come on, we're not going outside. So we, what was I saying? Oh, so I didn't like it. So I knew I was going to join the military. Pretty young, I knew I was going to join the military. Actually, still being 3, like in Canada, I remember riding my tricycle and thinking joining the army would be cool, but it was only because of boot camp. Because I wanted to do like the obstacle courses, like in the mud. But I already knew I didn't want to like do the war thing. But I thought like the obstacle course, I was like, can I just like do the boot camp part? So I was already kind of like a crazy kid. So I thought I was going to join the Navy. When I joined the Sea Cadets, I went to the Navy recruiter, all that stuff. And then I went on the aircraft carrier and talked to the Navy rescue swimmers. And they were like, don't join the Navy if you want to be a rescue swimmer. They're like, you're going to be on an aircraft carrier like us. And when the jets are doing their touch and goes, you get in the helicopter and you fly big circles around the ship, waiting for them to basically crash. And they're like, that doesn't happen very often. They're like, yeah, we do have some land units and we, rarely get, cases, but they're like, you need to, if you want to be a rescue swimmer. One was like, I've been a rescue swimmer for 5 years and I've never saved anybody. And they said, join the Coast Guard. Because they're all over the country and they do civilians and stuff.
Note to self, all you potential rescue swimmers from the Navy, maybe think about it twice. I don't know. I think there's probably pros and cons to both. I remember, when you go to AHARS, so Advanced Helicopter Rescue Swimmer School, and you get to, I got to deploy or, do some free falls with some of the Navy folks. And yeah, like they were admittedly themselves, they were kind of sloppy, like jumping out the helo. They were just saying, we don't get to do this that much. Like we rarely get to even practice this. This is a great school for us because we don't get to see like that much action. But it's a different job. So yeah, it
is. So yeah, if you're thinking rescue swimmer, like that's what I want to do. Yeah. Do your research basically. Yeah. And find out what's the better fit.
All right. So now you've put the Coast Guard on your radar. What's next? How does that get started?
So then I get home and, and by the way, my Sea Cadet unit was called the Betsy Ross Division. We were the only all-female unit in the United States.
Oh, cool.
And so we were like, we kicked butt too, against, a lot of the other ones that were like all boys or mostly boys, because you would have these competitions and stuff. So I told my CO that I wanted to check out being a Navy rescue swimmer. And so I went up to the air station in Humboldt. And that's when I hung out you can go on these 2-week trainings in the summer, basically. And that's when I was sold. Yeah. And I got to fly the 65 and everything too, as a Sea Cadet.
That's cool. That's really cool.
Yeah. I remember when it started beeping, and I said, "Oh no, like what's that?" And he said, "That just means you're below 200 feet." And I said something like, "Can I go lower?" And he's like, "Yeah."
Jesus.
I was like, "Cool." He's like, "You're a nut."
That's definitely a different.
I mean, obviously he's had his hand. I wasn't doing the pedals. It was just the cyclic.
That's pretty cool though. That's pretty awesome. All right. So then how do you truly decide to join the Coast Guard to become a swimmer?
Well, then I just was like, I'm going Coast Guard. So, changed, went to the recruiter. They just swap your paperwork over. It's not a big deal. Yeah. So any of you out there who change your mind, you can, up until the last day, switch your stuff and not do it. So don't ever let a recruiter tell you that.
They just can sign it over in a few minutes. It's very easy. It's an easy process.
Very easy. It's one form.
Yeah.
It's one form. So don't let them say you're locked in, because you're not.
Yeah, they would say that. They're like, "Oh no, you've committed to us now with all this paperwork." Mm-mm.
Yeah, don't worry about it.
Yeah. So anyway, don't ever let them.
You shadowed a swimmer too, right? Before joining, or
I basically shadowed the shop.
Okay, let's talk about that. So this is before joining the Coast Guard. You were able to basically go and see what Coast Guard swimmers' duties are. Okay. Yep.
So I went to the Humboldt Bay Air Station in Northern California, and I think I might have hung out with the other shops too, but obviously my main focus was with the rescue swimmers. Right. I remember being in the shop, and the guy that was showing me around and stuff, they were, those are two of them. They were really cool. They were super cool and happy. There was one other girl with me. She actually wanted to join. She wanted to be a SEAL really bad, but knew that she couldn't. So she wanted to do something, cool, but obviously combat wasn't open. So she came, and anyway, we saw what they did and whatever, and went out on a run and stuff. And I remember one of the swimmers was pretty new, and him saying, "Yeah, there aren't any female rescue swimmers, and there probably never will be." And right then and there, I said, "You just told that to the wrong person."
And yeah, I think the type of individuals that become rescue swimmers often tend to operate well when somebody tells them things like that,
like a challenge, basically a challenge, like you can't do this type of thing.
Yeah, like every time somebody is like, "Yeah, I don't think you'll make it," you're like, "Oh yeah,
yeah,
all right, that now
I'm going to use that as fuel.
Yeah,
I
didn't
to a fault sometimes.
Yeah, I didn't even want to do it in the first place, but now I have to do it.
Yeah.
Oh, trust me.
Yeah.
I had a guy when I was an airman who shall remain nameless, who was an AMT who just had it out for me. And I really think it's because he wanted to go swimmer and knew he wasn't going to make it, and maybe knew, like, in his heart of hearts that I had like a good chance. I remember on the 800 tow wanting to quit really badly because I had the flu and I had like the most muscle bound guy in the class. The sink like a rock guy. And my snorkel was underwater like the whole time, basically, because he was so heavy. And then I would go to breathe and I was just like so stuffed up and congested. And I was F, but I was the closest to the wall and just swimming by the wall. And in my mind's eye, I could see myself just letting go of him and grabbing the wall. And then I would see that person's face and how happy he would be to see me come in with nothing on my collars, and my snorkel would go.
Now, so you say there was no swimmers yet, but weren't there that had graduated from Navy school?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So,
yeah.
Yeah, go ahead.
3 female rescue swimmers had gone through the Navy Rescue Swimmer School before the Coast Guard had our own. Before we had our own rescue swimmer school, 3 had made it through the Navy Rescue Swimmer, but none of them had been active for like, this was like in the early to mid 80s.
Right. So basically the swimmer was saying that you're not going to graduate as like the first swimmer from the new school, this Coast Guard school, which I think a lot of people were under the impression, and it might be fact, it might not be, but that the standards were a little higher now, that it was like under the Coast Guard's domain. So would you agree with that? Do you think it was potentially harder than Navy school?
Every rescue swimmer that is like has gone where they were kind of transitioning from like half rescue swimmer school or Coast Guard, and then they had to finish up at the Navy, said the Coast Guard was way harder. And so the Navy school was easy for them. And that's why all the Coasties always got like the honor grad and stuff like that. Oh,
interesting. That's good to know. So some people started in the Navy, you mean, and then transitioned to the Coast Guard and finished.
They would do Coast Guard, almost like preparatory school while they were going to. This is when it was ASM. It was like a Coast Guard prep you for Navy Rescue Swimmer School. And so when they got to Navy Rescue Swimmer School, it was like easy for them. Gotcha. But this is like when the Master Chiefs and stuff were trying to build our own rescue swimmer school. Gotcha.
Hey guys, I'm just gonna pause for 1 second. Not pause the video. I just need to swap out the battery on the camera. I do like the other camera too, so I'm just gonna swap that bathroom real quick. Cool. And we're back from pee breaks and dog breaks.
Yeah.
Sweet. All right. So
was that the
Yeah, that's so I can sync this thing so it looks professional. Don't worry, the clap won't be in the video. Great. So, all right, we're in A school. So let's dive into the nitty gritty of your A school experience.
Okay.
Let's start with the year. Let's start with like when you went through A school.
So when I went.
Yeah.
Long time ago in 2000.
Yeah. You've been a long time ago.
Yeah, I was actually like one of the first airman classes to go through, and it had just turned from ASM to AST a little bit before me too. So anyway, the Coast Guard only school had been open for a long time. And no like female had made it through yet. And I mean, I knew that, I knew a couple people had got close. So anyway, I waited 4.5 years for A school.
Oh, wow.
Long time.
Yeah, that's like when there was like a recession and stuff in the 90s, and that's when they were doing like the kicking people out who weren't making rank and stuff like that, but which didn't really make sense because nobody was advancing, you know. So anyway, the aviation schools basically stopped moving. Like your name didn't move. And this was true for all three of the aviation jobs. The rescue swimmer, since we have this way smaller class sizes than the AMT and the AET, we moved even slower. So anyway, yeah, 4.5 years, I had to extend. And I remember asking the yeoman, what if I don't make it? Do I still have to stay in? Yep.
Yeah, the Coast Guard definitely goes through those phases of, you know, oh, your job is in need. Oh, your job is not. So
yeah, like a feast or famine almost.
Yeah.
Right.
So anyway, 4.5 years. I was ready because, I mean, I didn't just sit around. I used that time to get ready. Luckily, well, I was at a small boat station for 2 years, and then I got stationed at Air Station Barbers Point, and I was there for 2.5 years. So, I mean, it's a pretty good place to get ready for A school. You know, even though I was a non-rate, washing dishes and cutting grass, I had the swimmer shop there, you know, to pick their brains and know what I needed to do to get ready. And I did. I mean, I got myself ready for school. I'm not sure what you want, like to just say what it was like or how it started or.
I think one of my questions is, in one of your articles, you kind of compared or at least the interviewer was talking about how G.I. Jane is how he pictured you. And like that movie G.I. Jane is how he pictured you going through swimmer school.
Yeah.
And one of the things that you mentioned in that article is, you know, the instructor is really trying to make you quit specifically. Why don't we talk about that?
Okay, so on the first day, I mean, I already knew there was going to be attention and spotlight, and I was going to be under the microscope. I prepared for that. So, excuse me, you know, like the PT test, 5 pull-ups, 5 chin-ups, 50 push-ups, 60 sit-ups, the 1.5 mile run, and the 500-yard swim, and then the underwaters. I could basically do 75 yards underwater when I got there. I did 80 push-ups and like fell on my face because I couldn't actually push myself up from that last one. I did 16 chin-ups and 16 pull-ups. The sit-ups, I mean, those are never hard for anybody. The run, that's the only thing that was like, whatever, I just did it in time, you know? And then the swim, I did it in 5 minutes and 45 seconds. So they were like, oh. And the PT test was videotaped. There was a video camera there. And I was like, that's for me. So they have proof if I fail. So they can go, see, right there, she screwed up or whatever. So I had to deal with like that kind of stuff where everybody else, like you guys know this, you are totally scrutinized. You're super intimidated by the instructors, all that stuff. But I had like an extra like crappy thing that I had to deal with.
So are you saying,
and just know that not everybody wanted me there.
Are you saying the instructors filmed you and you alone?
No, but
Okay.
I knew that the reason why they filmed my class's PT test was because I was there.
Wow.
Yeah, I don't remember
Did
any
you guys
filming.
have yours picked?
No, yeah, I don't remember any filming at all or hear about that. So yeah.
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 Yeah, and none of the other classes had theirs taped. I was like, and I mean, I knew it was like Zoom, panned on me, and they were being like weird about it and stuff.
Was it like some guy just holding a camera?
Like,
was he just holding a camera? Was there a camera?
No, it was on a tripod.
Okay, I was gonna say, yeah, it's kind of weird.
Like in your face, like making sure the push-ups, like, yeah. But like I said, I knew that, so that's why I was like, there's no way you're going to question my PT test, Yeah.
Well, those numbers are tremendous. I think even you might have seen, if you guys are watching this on YouTube, you probably saw Cody and I's faces when Sarah was mentioning these standards, like her PT numbers, because those are very impressive.
Well, yeah, the 545, I think, was that the fastest in your class, I'm assuming?
Yeah.
That's very fast.
So like I wasn't personally reaching I don't think any of those numbers, to be honest with you. So, and I made it through. So that's just goes to show how Sarah was physically prepared for this endeavor. So, but were you mentally prepared for what occurred?
Yes. Like I said, if you want something really, really badly, and I did, like when I was at the small boat station and stuff, and I was on the 44, and we'd go to a case, and then the helicopter would beat us, to the scene, and then they'd pluck the person out of the water, I would just be like, that's supposed to be me. Like I was the biggest wannabe rescue swimmer there ever was. I admit it. Totally admit it. Like I was the duck for the air station, just all this stuff, I did pretty much anything I could do to be a rescue swimmer or close to it when I was getting ready. So that right there is major motivation not to quit, because, like when you spent a couple of years mess cooking, like, just, yeah. And I know a lot of people that were on ships and stuff, they had that same thing. They're like, no, I'm not going back to a ship, So I had that. And then, like, I guess, it's because I was so physically ready, that helps with your mental part big time, because you can still do something really scary and really uncomfortable. We called the pool the bad place. Like when we would pass by it, like driving to dinner and stuff, we would like go, the bad place. So, but when you're ready and you've got this like great set of lungs and stuff, you can do the stuff that they do to you, and it's still terrible, but it's not enough for you to pinch out.
That's kind of links to what I've mentioned multiple times on this podcast. Is a lot of people say that these challenging, like elite military schools, is 80% mental and 20% physical. Potentially that could be true, but that's only true if you are in a very physically prepared state. That's a luxury that people that are physically fit and ready can have. Yes, it does become mostly mental at that point because you have the physical capability to succeed. But there's nobody there's no morbidly obese folks that are showing up and that are like, wow, this is some mental challenge on me. Like physically, I think I got it, but like mentally,
I mean,
the physical stuff is just a baseline, basically. That's like, you have to have it, but there's plenty other, there's more after that, but you just need to have that baseline.
Yeah. You have to have the physical part there to be able to get through the mental part.
100%.
Now, but in this article, what I want to talk about is how you mentioned that you were really challenged individually in this school. And that's something that me and Cody discussed briefly is, like, let's talk about how yours might have been different, but we were, I'd say every rescue swimmer that goes through that school is challenged at one point individually.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Often for,
I always thought there was there's always it seemed like a week where they'd pick someone and just grill them, and just see what happens.
Yeah. Kind of, break them down and see what happens.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. There was that. There was totally that going on. I remember one of my classmates was a big like football guy, you know, so take those fins off of him and make him swim with that brick and whoof. So that was like, you know, anytime that it, you know, it was just, oh, poor Smith, you know what I mean? Or just whatever, you know, yeah, everybody had their days, but it, you know, but there were days where it was literally just pick on Faulkner Day and the rest of everybody is standing at attention in the shallow end while I was getting like hit and stuff. And like just having to pretend that I didn't know that that was totally screwed up, you know?
Wow. And so, and you know for a fact that none of the other candidates had to do this.
No.
And
no, I mean, I was there the whole time, so I wouldn't know if they had that, but nobody, you know, when they did it, it would be, you know, maybe when we're doing the escapes and releases and somebody screwed up and then they, you know, make them do it again. And, you know, that one person and, you know, like, you know, you like feel sorry for them for whatever infraction they did. But, you know, the instructors make it seem like it's the worst thing ever. There was that for sure. But this was like me in the shallow end and me just like, you know, getting like tore up by them for a long time. And there was no real reason for it.
So this is every other rescue swimmer candidate is standing on the side of the pool and you are getting basically, I'm assuming more or less jumped by the instructors to do like releases, like the pressure point releases.
Yeah.
Yeah. Wow. And
or just whatever, you know, like, but it was, you know, maybe it was a basket stuff, but it would be like a knockdown, drag out brawl.
And how does that, you know, how does that affect you mentally? Like, what are you feeling in that moment when
I would feel super discouraged because it sucked.
Is it?
I remember the first week, you know, like our senior class, they were about to graduate and all 7 of them made it. Nobody dropped out. So of course, you know, we looked up to them, but the fact that none of them dropped out, you're like, whoa, you guys are such a strong class. Like you look at them like they're gods. And that we had started all the catches and releases, escapes and releases. And actually one of the instructors got in trouble because a master chief from the school ended up walking in and saw one of the instructors and what he was doing to me and pulled him over and told him to like, you need to chill out, man. Like you need to stop what you're doing right now.
What was this instructor doing?
Just being like way too rough with me.
And
not giving me like any time to catch my breath and stuff like that.
So, what are you feeling at this point? Are you feeling hurt? Are you feeling mad?
So I'm sitting in my room. So that's another thing is like really isolated because after that, they all walk into the boys' locker room, you know, and you can hear them laughing and joking and whatever. And then I just go after I just been like totally beat up, go to my locker room by myself, you know, like I didn't have like that kind of camaraderie thing immediately afterwards. I hung out in the rescue swimmers room a lot because mine was directly open. So we would just keep our doors open and, you know, I could just go in there wherever. But I remember I was sitting on my bed and feeling really, really discouraged, thinking if they if they keep that up, I don't know. I don't know if I can do this, you know? And then one of the Jason Quinn, who's like days from graduating, comes into my room and he says, if you can do everything you did in the pool, drag all your crap upstairs and into your room, you can do it again tomorrow. And so, coming from somebody who literally just did it and has got shin splints and bones sticking out of his feet because his fins in the running just jacked his legs all up, and he's beat up, and he looks like he was hung because he just did the mile swim in a dry suit, you know what I mean? And he is telling me that I can do it. So that's what I used. Like if he hadn't told me that, I probably, because he believed in me, I could go, you know what I mean? I don't know why I'm crying, but he's kind of the reason why I didn't quit, because I was like, Jason says I can do it.
And that, yeah, I honestly, it kind of pains my heart to think about that. Just, yeah, if the inequality, it's a challenging enough school. And you mentioned, just the fact that you have to go back to a locker room alone. That's not even, that's an aspect, just a technicality that I didn't even consider. That was where we bonded. That's where the unit was formed. It's that was kind of our safe haven after a very challenging procedure or drill. That's where the camaraderie was built, and we'd crack jokes, and the morale would get right back up from the demoralizing thing. Yeah, this horrible experience you just had in the pool, and then you could be back in the locker room laughing and joking and making fun of each other or whatever. And then I go to the locker room and, peel my wet shirt off and go, oh my God. And I've got purple handprints and scratches, and I got a chunk taken out of my hand. And if I had somebody else to go, oh, holy, you know what I mean? Holy mo, what did they do to you or whatever? But, there was no one there to say, that's messed up, or whatever. I was just holy, that kind of thing. And I think that alone just makes, I can't even imagine, but what you went through so much more challenging, because at that point, it probably was 80% mental easily. I mean, it was probably 100% mental based on your physical capabilities that you just mentioned. So yeah, you had to not just battle the challenges, the physical challenges, but the adversity of what they were, just being alone. That's probably that's, in survival stories, that's the hardest thing is if you're alone surviving, it's the defying that. And you were sure, there's a team, but you're missing out on a big part of that. And I mean, Cody, did you have any more questions regarding swimmer school?
Not really. The only thing I was thinking about, first of all, the camaraderie thing is something I never thought about either. You go through there's actually studies they've done on rescue swimmer school and buds and stuff like that, where the camaraderie is a contributing factor to increase your likelihood of passing. So the fact that you had to do it by yourself is, I mean, it just it's pretty unreal. Yeah, it makes it that much harder.
Well, I mean, that's why they stick all the swimmers together in the same room, is to lift somebody else up when they're having a really bad day and thinking about checking out. They've got their teammates right there to tell them, no, man, and then boost them back up. Yeah.
And that camaraderie is really why I've described rescue swimmer school as honestly, personally, one of the best times of my life, because it was one of the most challenging, but it was the most fun because of our sense of humor and the fact that we're going through this hard thing together. And it's just that it makes it such a a phenomenal like life experience.
My class was pretty serious, but the class ahead of me, so like the junior class, well, they became the senior class. They were all a bunch of like goofballs, and they were really fun to hang out with. Yeah,
I'm 100% gonna identify my class as that goofball class.
Yeah.
And like our senior class, which Nathan Fesky, who we've had on the podcast, was in, and Nathan Fesky was the exception to this class, but they were very strict, very disciplined, which is fine. But they were, they took the job and the challenges at like a very military bearing, in a very military bearing manner. But us, any opportunity we had, we would crack a joke, and like the instructors knew it too. They're like, you guys are a bunch of goofballs, and they're like half the time.
Your class sounded like it was just unreal. Like, I can't believe you guys passed. It sounded like you should have been kicked out of the whole school. Like, some of the stories I heard.
They were constantly getting in trouble for whatever stuff. Like
that was our class. Yeah, we got in trouble for doing a rescue swimmer, like just short, the rescue swimmer short shorts, like a half nude photo shoot out in the snow. We're just like all posing, and like the command walked by. They're like, dude, come on, guys. Like, come on.
That's stupid though, because like that's our culture to do that. Like that's known.
Well, I still see flaws in what we did, of course. But and like another thing we
should have done it in the forest.
We kind of were, but they still found us. And yeah,
deeper in the forest.
Another thing is like one of our guys had his haircut was out of regulation because it touched his ear a little bit. So the chief says, "Hey, like get that fixed. Like we've told you, this is the second time." So we're like, "Oh, we're a team. We're all gonna do it." So we all get like I can only describe it as the Marine boot camp haircut.
Yeah,
so
like the jar head,
straight up, like bald. All around with just like
with this little thing,
a cap.
Like the high and tight.
Yeah,
a little tuft on the top.
And then we just show up the next day, and in class, and like you could tell, like the chief walks back in, and he's just like, "All right, cute guys, that's not Coast Guard Regulation 2, though, right? Like that's not regulation. It's got to be a fade.
It's not.
So it's got to be a fade. So in the pool, you guys are. Here we go." And then we're like, "Damn it!" So and then. It wasn't enough.
Wait, did you guys realize that the fade thing, like, did you know that you were out of regulation by getting that haircut? Or did you not realize that the fade was part of the haircut standard?
I think I was kind of influential in this decision, and I didn't know that it was out of regulation. I thought you didn't have to touch the ears was all.
You were like, this is going to be so good. They're not even going to, you were just like, let's go to the extreme other side of.
So, well, yeah, that's not the end of it, because the extreme other side is I'm like, for me, the battle wasn't won yet. So he's like, all right, so this isn't regulation. All right, let's give them what they really want. So I go back to the barracks, and I go like, all right, guys, I think it's time we go full like swimmer mode. And they're like, what do you mean? And I go, I think we need to go bald. And they're like, what do you mean? Like shave it all? And I'm like, no, like razor blade. I'm going to get some grease at the Walmart. Yeah, I want these things glistening and like
shine it.
Yeah, like half the class of goofballs is just like, yes, yeah, I'm in. But then there's always those outliers that are like,
that's amazing.
Like there's always the outliers that are like, I can't, I'm not ready for that. Like, dude, they messed us up today. I don't want to see what happens when we go bald. And sure enough, like like the first 3 or 4 we go bald, and then at this point they have to. They're the outliers. It's like, oh, you didn't want to be part of the team. So just show up, and we had a winter class, so we had that we could put our hats on when we were outdoor PTing, and we're just outdoor cranking out our PT. So nobody knows we're bald yet, right? Until, one of the instructors yells out, bring it out on the pool deck. So at this point we're all changed out, but nobody's seen it yet. And all the instructors are just sitting there on the stands waiting for the class to come out. And just all these like bald rescue swimmers come out with the lightning beaming off of their heads. We're just all trying to keep a straight face, and you don't make eye contact with the instructors, but we hear like most of them just trying like not to die laughing, like these fucking assholes. Like,
it's really funny, but we have to punish them.
Yeah. Oh yeah. It was well worth the beating, but they called us Maroon 5 for quite a little while there.
That's funny.
Yeah. But so you made it through swimmer school, and did the singling out, did it continue for the entire months of your journey there?
At school?
Yeah. Did you finally get accepted like near the end?
I mean, my class did, as much as, I don't know. It was like weird because everyone's like dealing with their own thing. And like I said, I didn't have like the goofball class that you did. But yeah, like the class ahead of me, they were all super cool and really fun to hang out with them. The baby class, they were really cool, and they like look up to you because you're senior, and then once, you make it through your final multis, then it's like, woo, but yeah, like it was a weird balance between, being isolated and being messed with, and then also understanding the game and kind of throwing it back at them a little bit too, just to kind of mess with them. So they're like, what? Like confused. Like they would yell at me or something while I'm doing pull-ups, and I would just smile, and they're like, she's a psychopath. You know what I mean? So like kind of keep them guessing. I don't know, maybe so they're like interested or so. I don't know what, but anyway, like it was like games plus being isolated plus being paranoid that any day that they wanted, they could just decide Sarah's going home today. They could do that. You guys know that they pick people and they'll say they're gone, and you can see it. So I had to worry about that, and I figured, okay, I made it through multi, so they're going to do it on the final multi. You know what I mean? They're going to make it so bad or so hard that I fail. And so, of course, I don't know if I made it, we're all doing a thing with the water and the fins full of water, or the wall squat, or whatever we're all doing. We're all horrible people, we didn't learn anything. And then all of a sudden they're ripping all of our shirts off. And I'm shocked. Like, I can't believe it. I'm like, what? Like, I passed? They let me pass? Not that I couldn't pass, but they let me pass? I was shocked. And yeah, I'm like totally was in disbelief. And then a few days before we graduate, the Master Chief pulled me aside in the hallway. And I'm like, oh God, what'd I do? And he just tells me, all the rumors are true. We were never going to pass a female. You changed my mind. So that totally validated everything that I was feeling, And that was cool. I'm really glad that he told me that.
Yeah.
Does that feel frustrating to hear that, or only like you appreciate his integrity?
I actually really appreciated it because, like I said, what is the word? There is no word, and it's really frustrating for when you're paranoid, but it's true and it's actually happening. Like, what is the word for that? But that was what I was. I was paranoid the entire time, but it was because it was actually happening. And by him saying that, he validated that they didn't want me there, or they didn't think I should be there or make it or whatever. And then the fact that he told me, you changed my mind, that was cool.
That's pretty cool too, because I know right after you graduated, I think a class, or maybe your baby class or the class right behind that, had another female graduate. So you were essentially just a trailblazer, for all females in summer school. So it's pretty neat.
Thank you.
Yeah.
What feelings are you feeling when they do rip the shirt and you're like, wow, they let me graduate? Aside from shock.
Like I said, shock and disbelief.
But what comes next?
Well, elation, and relief,
Yeah.
Major relief also. And happiness, finally, just shock, disbelief, happiness, relief, a lot of feelings.
So,
And then proud too. You're proud when you make it.
So you finally make it. You feel like that relief, but then your career doesn't get easier, does it?
No, it does not.
And so when does the sexual harassment start?
At the first day I checked in to my unit.
So just after graduating.
Yeah. So I went back to Hawaii for a while. Then I went to EMT school, and then moved from Hawaii to LA. So it was like a month or two after I graduated that I checked in, and I check in, and basically the comments from the supervisor start like day one, basically.
This is when you're stationed where?
Air Station LA.
LA. So what kind of comments is like? How does it start? Like you're brand new. You're a proud rescue swimmer. You're the first female to graduate from the Coast Guard school, and already, what kind of comments are you getting?
Well, he would smack me on my rear a lot and really hard and in front of everybody. And it actually made the shop really uncomfortable. And they would be like, oh my God, I can't believe he just did that. He would say stuff like, Sarah, get in the chief's office and you better be flat on your back when I get in there. Ha 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 ha, I was growing my hair out. It was like basically I was like G.I. Jane, like buzzed at school. And so when I was growing it out, I would like pull my bangs back to keep them out of my face. And he would say like, I pinned my hair back so I could like give him oral sex. He would make me hug him. And he would say, oh, you put your smelly smellies on today, huh? For me, huh? It's like, no, I took a shower, dude. Like, you're smelling shower gel. I did not put perfume on for you.
Now, is this something that builds up, or like from day one? I can't imagine somebody behaves like that, like within introducing themselves, right? Like, sure, this is a different era, but this seems like absurdly egregious.
He was very, very boisterous, very big. He basically intimidated everybody, like everybody there, like EO, officers, everything. Like, yes. Yeah. The chief, who was about to make warrant, was just kind of like biding his time, told me, yeah, I don't know what to do about him. He's going to get us all in trouble someday. And I was like, dude, it's your job to do something. I'm coming to you. And you're saying, yeah, I don't know what to do about him. He's going to get us all in trouble someday.
So this is like within like less than a year at your first unit, you're already starting to bring this up to the command, as in like your chief. No,
I mean, the first year that I was at Air Station LA, I mean, it started right away, joking about there was cameras in my side where I would shower and just turn a little to the left so we can whatever, like see whatever body part. He'd like say stuff like, he would just say stuff like my nipples were hard because I was like aroused by him. And then I would like look down and just stupid stuff. And I would, that was like embarrassing. But no, this happened like right away. And then it was tried to talk to the chief. He didn't do anything about it. Then he would, the guy who did it would, we'd have like these closed door meetings for like hours. And then it was basically turned into that I was a poor performer and he was just trying to counsel me. And I'm like, what? Like, no, like, that's not what we're talking about here, you know? So it was like, be part of the shop. We'd go surfing for our, you know, our workout. And then we'd go to a cool cafe for lunch and then like not come back to like 1:30. I mean, we'd be gone all day. This was a good day as a rescue swimmers. And then, but I had to put up with the stuff that he did to me, like hug me, smell me, whatever, say all the stuff, or I would try to stop it. And then I was like Cinderella, ostracized, had to stay back and, you know, take all the cans for the entire air station to the recycling center. And they'd been like out in the back, like rotting in the sun with like fruit flies and everything. Like, why isn't AST doing that job? You know what I mean? When there's like non-rates and stuff.
So yeah, this is definitely blatant sexual.
It was retaliation for sure.
Now, what do you mean by you mean retaliation for you like standing up for yourself? Yeah,
for sure.
Yeah. And this retaliation came from this person that was sexually harassing you.
Mm-hmm.
Now, what do you mean you were having like closed door meetings for hours with this person?
Yeah.
Wow.
So when I would say like, you gotta stop, you have to stop doing this, he would basically turn it into this long drawn out conversation of that I was like just a poor performer and he was trying to make me like a better petty officer and interrupt me and talk over me and not let me, and not only that, but he was an E6. I'm a brand new third class, you know, and he's super intimidating. So it was really hard to say what I really wanted to say to him because I'm still trying to maintain some sort of military bearing and stuff, even though he didn't really deserve it. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And I think there certainly is a presence of that. If you're trying to stand up for what you feel is an injustice, then the repercussion usually comes in the form of, a railroad or a smear campaign to taint somebody's performance. And like I was personally like involved in such a command influence, and it's kind of odd because, you know, personally I was always labeled as a very strong performer and hard worker, but that's usually always what they'll go after. They're gonna try to change that in a different way, and I think that is a precedence. So like, so is that what you experienced? Kind of there afterwards, it kind of transformed you into something you're not, as far as your performance goes?
No. But so after a year, I couldn't take it anymore. I couldn't take like what, these are my choices. I can be sexually harassed. He can sniff me, lick me, smack my rear, blah, 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 like all day long, or I can stand up to him and he makes my life a living hell. Like those were my two choices for a year. And then finally I just couldn't take it anymore. And I went to the command and I told the XO what was happening, and she was shocked. She booked him on assault, actually. And I was just like, man, it's going to be bad. It's going to be bad. It's going to be bad. Like, here I am, the first female rescue swimmer to make it through school. Oh, it's all going to change the rate. Oh, it's all downhill from now. And then it's like, he's like self-fulfilling prophecy type of thing. Like, but he did it, not me. So that's actually why I waited so long to report it is because I was like, this is what everybody said was going to happen, you know? But like, I wasn't going to say it for like crude jokes or foul language. Or, I mean, I have a twin brother. I know how to hang out with guys. I'm not like, those were not the problems, but that's what everyone was going to think it was, just having a girl in like the rescue swimmer environment. Like, oh, but that's not what it was. This was way worse than that. Anyway, the next day, I'm just like dreading coming to work. And I see the CEO pull into the parking lot, and he like rolls down his window and he's like, hey, Sarah, don't worry. It's all going to be okay. And I was like freaked out by the way he said it. I was just like, I don't know. I saw this like almost like anger in his eyes. And I was like, great. And I got railroaded. Then the command took it over, the case over, did a sham of an investigation, and then tried to say I was crazy and sent me to a naval base in Balboa Hospital down in San Diego. Against my will, I'd be escorted with like a manila envelope this thick of basically lies about me with like my medical record. And by then my marks had gone down they marked me. I got a 1 in integrity. I got 5. No, I got 6. No, I'm trying to think. Yeah, like 5 3s, 6 2s, and a 1 in integrity after I filed a civil rights complaint. After. And if you look at my marks before, they're all really high, like really high, good page 7s, all that stuff. And then after I do that, it was like nosedive.
Yeah.
And then she's crazy. Let's kick her out.
It seems like 100% the definition of retaliation for sure. And that's actually something under like equal opportunity complaints is, there's not supposed to be retaliation. But the fact is, in like these tight-knit commands, you know, if you file one of this, in a sense, you're going against the command, right? So you're kind of stepping, it shouldn't be like this, but you're kind of stepping out of your rank, and your position is you're calling out an injustice. You're therefore saying there's a flaw in like this command. And usually I think that puts them in a place of defense, which I think in a lot of military decors, the best defense is a good offense. And what better than to disqualify the person that's making, pointing out this flaw. So in this case, it sounds like they go straight after something that you were always maybe known for, your integrity, but now all of a sudden, you just switched like from like
one day I just became dishonest. A terrible, yeah.
So, and what do you mean they against your will? How do they do that? Against your will, they send you to a medical facility? Like, is that a thing?
Yeah, I had to go to this hospital. So Balboa is a big Navy hospital, but they got like their psych ward basically, and I had to be escorted down there. And here I am in my trops, and there's like military patients there that had some kind of psychotic break or whatever. And they're like in hospital gowns with like alarms on their wrists with like messed up hair and stuff. And they were treating me like that.
So it's like a mental ward, more or less, military mental ward.
And so I had to get tested for what kind of crazy I was.
What does that look like? What
all day. Well, one is almost like an SAT exam. But like the questions are, sometimes I hear aliens and they tell me what to do. True or false? I believe in ghosts. Sometimes I'm happy, and then I'm really sad. You know, like true or false, like bipolar, schizophrenic. Like you could tell which one they're like trying to figure out what you are, you know? Split personalities. I have several voices in my brain. You know what I mean? Like it was like, oh my God. And then there was like, it wasn't like an ink blot test. There were pictures and you were supposed to like tell a story. These were like ones with this like person being held down by a table with like a knife and stuff. And I'm like, what am I supposed to say? So I'd make up stuff like, this is like back in the day, you know, when there wasn't hospitals and, you know, like this guy got hurt and they got to perform surgery right on him, right now, like Civil War times or whatever. Like I would like make it like the
positive,
least,
put a positive spin on it.
The most, yeah, exactly.
Wow.
That's literally the worst day of my life. Still to this day, the worst day of my life.
Is it the worst day of your life because of the test or because of the, like, you know, the reason they're giving you the test?
Just the whole thing. So when I go in, there's this, the doctor is like a captain, like an Asian old man, but he's a naval captain. And the first thing he says to me is, "Oh, so you like to lie, huh?" That's the first thing he says to me. And I'm thinking, oh, cool. It's going to be a totally unbalanced, fair exam. Like, awesome. So anyway, all that stuff, just the way everyone treated me, like just so, I don't know, they're down their nose at me the whole time. But this one young Navy lieutenant lady came in and she gave me a copy of the stuff that my command sent them. And she was like, "Come here," like around the corner. She's like, "Come here." And she gives it to me and she's like, "This is illegal. This is against the boxer law. You need to take this to a JAG attorney right now. Your command is going to get fired."
What did the sheet say?
It was just all this stuff that my XO had written. And it was just like, I'm a liar. I like misconstrue stuff to be sexual innuendo. It even says she was slapped on the rear once, maybe twice, but it was usually followed by the comment, "Good game." So like she actually admits it, but whatever. So anything, it was just a liar. That I had like temper tantrums. Like I would just have like stomping, screaming tantrums. One of them said that I walked out in my, our swimmer shirts used to be white back then. Okay. That I walked out on the hangar deck with it like soaking wet with like nothing on underneath it.
Wow. So this doctor comes in and he basically calls you a liar based on these documents.
Yeah.
Yeah. So how does that go?
Well, I just spill the beans and say everything that's going on. And, he still wasn't nice to me, but basically he, changed basically the diagnosis is called adjustment disorder, which really all that means is having a really hard time dealing with your current situation that life is presenting to you right now. Like say someone's going through a nasty divorce and they're just so overly consumed by that. You have insomnia, you can't eat and you're super stressed out. Like that's adjustment disorder. I'm sure pretty much everybody has had it at some point in their life or will,
Well, especially if you're going through this, like I'm assuming at this point you're feeling outcast, right? You're feeling.
Oh yeah. They grounded me a long time. I was stuck in the ops room. I was getting page 7s and booked on AWOL. Like they were just anything they could do. I think what they wanted me to do, and maybe you guys have seen this, where they make it so bad for the member that they lose it. And then they go, ha. But I had this one lieutenant, and she just kept telling me, don't do it. Don't lose your cool in front of these people. Like, that's what they're doing. So.
Yeah, I've witnessed people going through it, and I personally experienced it myself, where, I mean, that's what they're, in that situation, sounds like they're doing what they need to do to prove, well, it's not proof. They're
building a case.
Building a case with paperwork, right? So
and paper trail that happened after.
Well, yeah, because like you initiated this kind of situation. Yeah. So what does it feel like, you felt pride from swimmer school, and now you're going into, I'm assuming you're outcast from, I'm assuming people give you a wide berth at this point because
nobody even looked me in the eye.
Right.
Except for maybe 2 or 3 people who stayed, friends with me.
And I'm
everybody, nobody talked to me. I was the pariah of the air station.
I'm assuming part of that might be true, but maybe another part was people might have seen you as, if they associate with you, then they could get the same type of retaliation from the command.
Yeah, no, I saw people that were my friends kind of, you had like a look of avoidance, but not like they hated me, but they still, basically the vibe told them to stay away from me, know?
Yeah, because their careers on the line, right? Like, it's in a sense understandable. It's frustrating, but so how did you deal with it? Like, finishing your I guess your tour at this station? Well,
so that whole thing with them trying to kick me out for being crazy was another year of a knockdown, drag out fight, and everybody that I went to was like, oh my God, this is the worst case of retaliation we've ever seen. Like, gender policy, the Master Chief of the Coast Guard, civil rights officers. Oh, let me tell you this. So you have like your informal complaint, and then you have a formal complaint. So mine was already up to a formal complaint. My mom filed a congressional inquiry, and I filed a inspector general whistleblower complaint. Mm-hmm. So this was nasty.
Are you saying that you started with is this like an Article 138 kind of complaint against your commanding officer, or what?
No, against him, but then it was, I guess, the command, but it was still against the first original person. But then after I was getting all those page 7s and stuff, I still have them all too. I saved them. They all just say, member refused to sign, member refused to sign, member refused to sign. But anyway, so it's formal complaint. And so it goes up to the district level. So I had the district civil rights officer, the district command master chief, and the admiral. So I had to fly up to Alameda to meet with the admiral.
Of the entire Coast Guard? Or of your sector?
Of D11, which is California.
Yeah.
Arizona and Nevada, but that, not like we have anything there. So I go up there. He basically says, well, what do you need for you to drop this complaint? And I said, to admit that it happened. And then that, like, this, and then an apology for whatever they've just done, the command has done to me. And he said, well, how about this? You can leave ASAP if you drop the complaint. And I mean, that made me mad, because I was like, well, that means they're getting away with it. And then he said, we can get you to Sacramento like tomorrow if you drop your former complaint. And I said, there's no helicopters in Sacramento. And he just was like, you dare defy me? And he just sent me right back into the wolves' den.
Wow. And
the civil rights complaint and Master Chief were also like, I can't believe she didn't take you know? So back to it. And, you know, but anyway, since that one medical exam said I didn't have anything wrong with me besides being in a hostile work environment and I should be taken out of it, they were like, yeah, we don't like that answer. So they sent me to another one. The exact same thing happened. Adjustment disorder, hostile work environment. She needs to be transferred as soon as possible. No, we don't like that answer either. Then one day I get a letter from the commanding officer, letter of discharge. It says, you here are, you know, being notified that you are being discharged from the Coast Guard because you're a piece of crap and you're crazy and bye. And so they said I had a personality disorder, and they picked up the, you know, they wrote the actual, you know, like DSM code, axis, whatever, personality disorder. So I took that, scanned it, and emailed it to the JAG officers that weren't doing anything, the command master chief of the or petty officer of the Coast Guard, you know, everybody that was just sitting there, just not doing anything, and said, I just got a letter that I'm getting discharged for a personality disorder I don't have. Why am I still here? Why am I still here at this command? That was a Thursday I got the letter. Friday I sent that email out. Monday I was at a different command.
Wow.
So it took that for me to get out of there.
So who was able to execute that decision to change stations for you instead of discharging you?
Well, I didn't have a personality disorder, so how can you kick me out for something I don't have?
So they wrote this. I'm assuming your commanding officer usually is like the one that starts this process up, and then they had to ball it up because it was bullshit, and then they threw it out.
Yeah.
And then you were at a different command.
So when I sent that out to everyone, I'm sure they called and said, "Here, we're done with this." She's not giving up. Like, she's not giving up. She's not going to roll over. She's got to go. You got to get her out of there. And so I actually went to the group in San Pedro and helped stand up the MSSTs, because that was like a brand new thing, and get them in shape for their new job and stuff.
Wow. So at this point, they more or less they don't take your wings away, but they take your operationalness away. They put you in a different duty.
That was just a place I could go immediately without having to like PCS.
Yeah.
You know, so, and you know, it was actually a good fit, because I they just knew that, well, like, and that command was amazing. They were so helpful and so nice to me, and they knew I was shell shocked, you know? And the captain was a lawyer. So he's just like looking at all this stuff like, oh my God. And so while they were trying to figure out a nice, like a soft landing for me, from there, I stayed there for a few months and did that with them. And then I left. My marks went right back up, a bunch of page 7s and an award.
Wow. That's cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's definitely disheartening, because in one of your articles, you also discussed that you think this is kind of a pattern that it's because it's happened to multiple women that you've spoken with in the Coast Guard that have same kind of complaints, and then they're pinned as having like personality disorder, and they go after their like performance.
Yep.
So like is that like they're reaching out and they're telling you all about this kind of thing, or?
Yes. So like the article in the Miami Herald goes really into detail, basically like what I'm saying right now, and has like the actual discharge letter and like copy, you know, like you can click and look at all the documents that I provided. And a lot of women wrote me like on Facebook Messenger and stuff like that and said, you know, oh my God, thank you for, you know, speaking out. I got kicked out for personality disorder after I, you know, filed whatever. I mean, it sucks because some of these women were like raped or, just, like pretty gnarly stuff. And yeah, so this thing of the personality disorder, it's not a unique thing to just me. Except I just wouldn't accept it.
Cody, did you ever in any of your stations before, like become a swimmer, ever like witness anything like that? Or
no, I really didn't. The only thing was like kind of your case, in Detroit. But yeah, I mean, it sounds like it's kind of the MO, is to kind of pin something and then move on from there. Yeah.
And
then you just kind of get steamrolled.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I'm glad you made it out with like your head up out of at least that command. Moving forward in your career, how did it, did things get better?
Nope.
Jesus.
So when I get to Mobile, it's supposed to be a good spot, and the command was great. The command master chief, awesome. We're super tight to this day. The CO and the XO had my back completely, but inside the shop was a whole nother story. And, I find this out after the fact that they had a meeting about me. And, when somebody has like a situation at a unit and then they transfer them, that's supposed to be like their fresh start, that happens. Yeah, no. But the senior chief basically said all this crap about me and, don't talk to her, she's just out to get people in trouble and she's not to be trusted. And actually a second class interrupted him and said, "What are you doing? Do you realize how messed up this is? Like what you're doing? You're talking mad crap about a brand new member who's not even here yet, So luckily that shop had a bunch of really cool dudes, and they were like, we're going to judge Sara by herself. Like when she gets here, we're going to figure it out on our own. And then they realized that I wasn't trying to get anybody in trouble. I just wanted to do my job and be a rescue swimmer and not be treated like crap. That's it. I just didn't want to be treated like crap. And so like all those dudes were my friends. Except constantly in the Master Chief's office or the XO's office with that senior chief and them telling him, you have to leave her alone. You have to leave her alone. And he actually got forced to retire.
Based on this? It
was like captain's mast or you retire because he wouldn't follow a direct order.
Wow. And this is just an order to cease harassing you, basically?
Yeah. And this wasn't like the sexual harassment stuff like the other guy did. This was just, setting me up for failure, treating me like crap, or my expectation level was like quadruple what, the other guys would have to do, stuff like that.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that can certainly be a frustrating thing when, the things that you're being reported on and, you're like, okay, well, like, why am I like the what's the word? Litmus test or?
Litmus
test. Thank you. Why am I the litmus test for the entire unit or, this entire command in relation to like my coworkers, right?
Yeah.
And so, but moving forward, like you had a long career, you served 20 years, correct?
Yeah.
So, did this keep happening because of this initial bullshit kind of thing?
Yep. Well, part of it, and this is what I think is like, there was like the older guard swimmers who still never believed that I belong there. I'm 5'6" and weigh 130 pounds. Like I'm not a big person at all. you would not walk down the street and go, yep, that's a rescue swimmer, you know, like you would never guess that I did that for a living. So there was just me being small, and then, you know, still being feminine, like girly. I think that kind of messed with their brains. Like, you know, swimmers are the baddest thing on the block, man. Like, you walk around with your rescue swimmer shirt on or your wetsuit, and like people can't help but look at you and like with like admiration or things like that. And I think the fact that I looked at them the same, like not with, well, I did admire a lot of them, you know, that were more senior and had crazy cases and stuff. But like, I would always felt like I belonged there because I knew I earned it. And so instead of me looking at them like God's gift to women, I think that really kind of messed with some of their brains, you know? And then it was also kind of like, okay, I'm supposed to be this big, bad rescue swimmer. And then she just did the same thing as me. Like it's like their little macho brain couldn't handle that.
Yeah. I'm trying to think like how I would behave, like, because I never served with a female rescue swimmer. There was a female rescue swimmer candidate in our junior class, and we certainly like interacted with her like as I'd say just the same. But it must have been challenging. She was the only female there. Yeah. And I don't know, I like trying to really look at myself, like how would my ego behave? Like, Cody, I don't know. Do you like, it's easy to say,
younger
right?
guys,
hard to tell, yeah.
We're fine.
Yeah.
The younger guys are fine because you're working side by side with them and they just see it. And I don't know, they just have a different mentality. So all the people that were like in my generation, a little bit older in my generation, and all the ones like below me were fine. It was just the older ones that didn't. And a lot of them were also friends with that guy that I got booked and had to, you know, he had the whole investigation. I mean, he didn't get in trouble. So like, but it was like, that's my friend, you hurt him. And so now we're going to, you know, it's payback.
Well, that's the issue. Like the Coast Guard's so small that, you know, and then you just put it in this, I think it's gotta be the smallest rate, right? There's that or diver now maybe, but,
maybe diver. Yeah.
Yeah. But it's the smallest,
really small.
It's the smallest
really
rate, small. The smallest job within the smallest branch of service. So there's no way you're gonna, the sad truth is there's no fresh start. So, you know, like, yeah, they'll tell you that you're going to this place, you're getting a fresh start, but that's not true. People have talked, people have, like the precedent has been set as far as like, like they're going to set like who you are before you ever step your foot through the door, which is sad. So, and
then there's all kinds of crazy outlandish rumors had been, you know, spread by then too, you know?
Yeah, and then they build on themselves and so on and so forth. And
like the telephone game.
Yeah, and at that point, you're just trying to crawl out of this nonsense debris, you know? What would be your message to women that are trying to become elite military, you know, individuals? I'm sure that I don't think there has been a female Navy SEAL yet, but I'm sure that's coming. What would you say to her?
Woo-wee. Stand by for heavy rolls. That's going to be a tough one. They're pretty proud of the fact there's no women there. You're going to get that attitude. Guaranteed. You're going to get that attitude that I had to deal with. All I can say is, think about that. Is that worth it? Because, you know, what I dealt with, has saddled me with pretty severe PTSD, which comes in the form of pretty severe depression. So, yeah, I've been to the South Pole and I saved a bunch of people and had an amazing career and made a million friends. But but I also have something that changed me for the rest of my life. So, is that worth it? You know, think about it, because it's not going to be easy. I think being a rescue swimmer or being in some of the other jobs, I don't know. Honestly, I don't know. I think rescue swimmer would probably be your best bet now as far as being treated better than the other jobs. Like the Navy has, they've got like 100 women rescue swimmers.
Oh.
So as far as like the combat, I think that's going to be just as nasty. I hate to say it, but I really believe it would be.
But so it almost sounds like you're almost dissuading this person from doing it, which there's going to be that person.
You know what? If you're going to go for it anyway, and you're like, I don't care, I'm doing it. I want to be the first female Navy SEAL. Go for it, but you better show up like a beast. You know, you're going to be a beast. And here's another little word to the wise. So you know how I said my PT test was, you know, like 16 pull-ups, 16 chin-ups? My out PT test, I only did 9.
And why do you think that?
Because you get that beat up and broken down. So think about that. Don't just figure out what the minimums are. You got to be way above that, because what if I couldn't do 16 when I first started out? Almost all of the women failed because of their PT test at the end, because of the pull-ups and stuff. So make your numbers like crazy high, because you are going to look like a prisoner of some sort, like in some nasty, you know, little cage that because did you guys look like crap? Start to look like crap at school?
I would say it started easing off personally near the end. So there's definitely that part where, yes, like my PT numbers go to crap in like, I'd say the last 2/3. And yeah, I'm looking tattered and the PT numbers go down. The end, maybe not, you know, like, but like, cause it's
they did the phases differently.
Yeah, they did.
You know?
They did.
Yeah. Cause our final multi was a little bit like, we had a few weeks to go till graduation after the multi. So I think it might have been a little different.
Yeah.
And personally, I think even our PT out test was like, I think they gave us a couple days break after the final multi, and they were just like, all right, PT out test. And at that point we're well rested and we're like, yeah, all right, here we go. You know, let's see what we got. But yeah. I do remember being, your bones and you're getting a little weak. You're tired.
For sure.
I just remember like going to the bathroom, like after, you know, sewing, and then, you know, going to take a break and like seeing myself in the mirror and then going, oh my God, like what? I just had like dark circles under my eyes and my clothes. It's like I needed suspenders on my pants.
Yeah, I remember.
And I was eating like a entire package of Chips Ahoy or like half gallon of ice cream every night, and just breaking down. So that's another thing, is especially Navy SEALs. I mean, you're going to get broken down. I probably gain weight too.
Oh,
like fat, like actual fat, because if you're like that in shape, like as in shape as I was going into rescue swimmer school, you're not going to have a lot of fat. And like they spend so much time in that ocean freezing. And that's actually something that a Navy SEAL told me, because we were talking about the fact that there aren't any female Navy SEALs. And he said, you know, I think someone could do it physically, but I think the cold is going to get them, because they're not going to have the body fat to keep them warm. So put on like 20 pounds on top of that.
I've heard the same from other Navy SEALs. Yeah, you got to fatten up a little bit. But I thought, and correct me if I'm wrong, y'all, but I thought women did have a little more like fat, like as a starter pack, almost like
we do. But like if you have like a girlfriend and they're like, I'm cold, and you're like, what? I think guys just run hotter.
I think there's a circulation difference as well. I feel
like that. Yeah, that seems like it's pretty accurate.
I think women may have more fat. I as a starting point, but I think the circulation is different.
It might not be directly correlated to staying warm for like,
yeah. Just you guys, I think guys just run warmer.
Yeah. It's kind of true. That's a different endeavor, and I look forward to seeing that in the future. And I certainly hope
that'd be amazing.
I certainly hope that times have evolved, because, you know, it is 2020. I mean, I think now transgender folks are totally accepted in the military. So hopefully things have kind of transformed. But it goes without saying that there's a strong likelihood that, you know, the Navy SEAL community is going to have an adaptation process, and hopefully that person's going to be welcome as part of the unit.
Yeah, they're going to have some growing pains.
Yeah. What?
But no, I say, honestly, like, go for it. I would love to see it. That would be amazing. But there's going to be some gnarly challenges, unfortunately.
What would you do anything differently?
No.
Well, then that's certainly something to look back on, right? Like, there's trauma there, there's pain in your past, but at least you have tremendous things to be proud of course, as the things you've accomplished as a rescue swimmer. I think few rescue swimmers have a career that was like yours, but on top of that, you're proud of like the day-to-day that you did in battling this injustice, right? Yeah.
Well, and another thing that probably, you know, I never thought of at the time, and while I was going through all this like hell, because basically also this exact same thing happened to me in Clearwater. But this time they actually tried to med board me out. And, you know, med boards take like 2 or 3 years to go through. Mine took 1 month.
Wow.
And I got a phone call that said, yeah, you're getting kicked out. Not medically retired, kicked out. And they said, you know, you'll get a severance package. So I said, hold on. Let me get this straight. So you are kicking out the first female to graduate Coast Guard Helicopter Rescue Swimmer School for PTSD that was caused by being sexually harassed by rescue swimmers? Answer was yes.
By who?
Was 17 and a half years in.
Who answered yes? Like
the med board guy in DC. And I said, this conversation is over. Click, and got a lawyer. And it was 2 years and $10,000
of attorney fees.
Yep. Attorney's fees to stay in and fight my med board.
And so what's the current status of this? You know, what's the result as of today?
Nothing. I mean, I won it's called a retention. So I won the right to not get kicked out and stay in and retire at 20, but I couldn't do a day over. Like, so if I wanted to stay in past 20, I couldn't.
Why?
So technically I was never going to go over 20 ever, but that choice was actually taken away from me.
Wow. And that's probably the most frustrating thing, right? It's like, sure, you don't want it anyway, but when somebody tries to take it away from you unjustly, that's the most frustrating thing ever, because you're fighting for your name, your reputation.
Yeah. So all of that while I was going through it and stuff, which is horrible. It's like going to work behind enemy lines. You know, I never thought of it. I was always just fighting for me, you know, like, and the injustice of it, like you said, it was that this is so wrong. I can't let it slide. I couldn't just let it happen. But anyway, talking to these other people that are victims of, you know, sexual harassment, sexual assault, and things like that, them finding out, like, and reading my story and stuff, I don't find, like, they tell me that I'm like so brave for coming forward, but I don't think I am, because it's like, I'm letting like nothing bad is going to happen to me. but I'm just, now I can say it openly. Like, I don't have to worry. I don't have to watch my tongue. I don't have to worry about command structure or anything like that. You know, I can just say it. And anyway, part of me has kind of found out that since I am kind of, like you said, the poster child of the Coast Guard, and then to also be this victim of harassment, assault, and victim retaliation, I'm also kind of like a fight. I'm kind of like the female fighter for the Coast Guard. And I never really realized that while I was going through all this crap, that later on I was going to be the fighter.
And it takes those people to hopefully make those corrections in the long term. And it's disheartening probably because you don't see those results and the change doesn't happen fast enough. But, you know, it's an entity. The Coast Guard's, you know, like the whole military, in a sense, it's a corporation, and these big industries take a long time for a change to happen. But, you know, if people have the courage to do what you did, then eventually that change has to happen because.
Well, it stands out because it's like when you know, whatever, if you're like in this elite job, you know, it's so few people, and then you have like an illustrious career, people actually listen and go, what? Where if it was, you know, I hate to say it, but if you're just like, I don't know, like one of the jobs that's a little bit more common, it wouldn't get the media attention and prick people's ears to listen as much, you know?
That's definitely saddening, yes, that they don't have as much of a voice because of like the job, because all the jobs are just one as important as the other. But
yeah, exactly.
But I think, what was I going to say? I don't know. Thought I was going to be good, but whatever.
You'll think about it, right, when we sign off.
I know. I don't know. But why don't we end on a better note and talk about your current life. So where is Sara Faulkner currently in her endeavors? You know, you're still fighting for this and things are coming out, which are healthy. But what, you know, moving forward with your life and trying to put that slightly behind you, what are you doing now?
Well, I'm retired and I'm not working. I'm going to school full time, and this is funny, I'm literally just doing it for the money.
Did you IBL money?
Like, huh?
Did you IBL money? Or?
Yeah. Because I almost make the same as I do when I was a first class active duty. So it's pretty good with the pension and everything. I'm taking horticulture, but that's just because I'm a big time plant nerd and love gardening. But that's not like it's not like I'm gonna, anyway, I probably shouldn't say that. I'll probably get like my stuff cut off. But I do want to, I just had to get my toes wet into the college thing, you know, because I was like really kind of intimidated of it because I just joined right out of high school. And it's easy. So, but I would really want to do more like biology and wildlife conservation. And what I really want to do is go to Africa and fly, you know, doing like the aerial surveillance for the poaching and stuff like that. And then they do like sky vets will get launched, you know, because somebody will snare an elephant and then their foot is just like so bad and infected, and then they, you know, put them down, do a triage, major antibiotics, and then set them. Or, you know, like the orphaned elephants or baby rhinos that get stuck somewhere and they rescue them and stuff. That's what I really want to do. So I had to get my feet wet in the college thing. But then it's going to be more like biological conservation, zoology type stuff, and then do that. Yeah.
Off subject, I thought of what I was going to say. Back on the negative, and then we'll get back into the positive. But one of the things I thought of, like listening to your story, is I think hopefully like I think one of the command mistakes in this, like, is that they treated you like everyone else. And I think the difference potentially in people that are elite folks is that, like, if you're fucking with them, and like if they sense an injustice, like, and they get their feet wet, as you say, in fighting that, oh boy, like, you have to understand that they're going to go all the way, because, like, a rescue swimmer, they went in all the way. They committed. They made it out the other end because they refused to quit. Well, what makes you think that they're going to take any other aspect of their life differently? Yeah, they're gonna plant their feet in the ground, and, like, somebody's going to cave. And unfortunately, like, it's a almost impossible battle to fight sometimes, because you're battling an army. But that's fine. Like, you accept the fact that those feet are going to stay in the ground until, like, the very end. And I hope people see the inspiring actions that Sara's taken in and off the battlefield, as in the line of duty, as far as doing amazing life-threatening rescues, but also in the back office, which often can cause more anxiety and more stress, and it's oftentimes a harder battle than even doing those, like, adrenaline filled jobs.
Like that case. I'm sorry, go on.
No, go ahead. I was done.
Like that case where I got smashed by the boat. That doesn't make me go boo-hoo, and cry. You didn't see that with that. Like Katrina, that was traumatic for sure, because there was a lot of, like, dead people and stuff, and we were all a little messed up. But overall, that still has a happy ending, because we rescued so many people and it went so well. So those are not the things that kind of damaged me, it's the other stuff, my own people, unfortunately. But
talking about the Africa endeavor, first of all, I think you'd be a tremendous candidate for something like that, because of your background. So I would think your resume is going to be shining pretty bright. But yeah, that's a crazy world out there as far as the poaching, endeavors, and as far as, like, the ivory trade. I actually wrote a report on this. A lot of the poachers, it's in an area in Africa where there's unfortunately no other gig. There's no job. There's nothing else to support their economy. And the sad things, and, like, watching some interviews and reading these, like, papers, is a lot of the conservation. Actually, let me start with this. A lot of the poachers, they've voiced that, like, they hate it. They don't want to be doing this. It's like, it's not, they don't understand really, but they know deep down inside in their hearts that there's something wrong with what they're doing. They're like, we don't like doing this, but there's nothing else. And kind of the crazy turnaround of, like, my research in that is a lot of the conservation officers they've hired used to be poachers. They've hired them to combat, because first of all, they have the inside knowledge, but also because there's basically two jobs in these areas: poaching or fighting poaching. So that seems like a really exciting future for you.
Yeah. And like I said, I mean, I don't know how much LE you guys did in the air, but for OpBat, you do a lot. You do all these patrols around Haiti and all the Bahamas and stuff like that. So obviously that's not that fun. You're staring down at the water. So, like, the aerial surveillance part would be a lot more interesting in Africa, because you'd be looking down and seeing herds of elephants, or it's not just going to be water. So it's like people would pay for those type of tours in an airplane or a helicopter. I'm sure it probably gets old, but but, like, doing the rescues with the animals, that's the part I really want to do.
That's really cool. Yeah. And I saw that you were also working with horses.
Yes. My friend has a rescue with a bunch of horses, and goats and emus and a pig and a donkeys, a llama. It's like animal heaven there. And they're all rescued.
Well, I'm glad, like, hopefully that provides some clarity and a relief just to be out of that environment. And hopefully this like episode hasn't like dissuaded folks from joining the military or from pursuing challenging just goals in life. But it definitely sheds light into the challenges of it.
Yeah.
Anything, Cody, do you have any other things to talk about, to ask?
No, I think we covered most of it.
Yeah.
It's been almost 3 hours. Yeah.
I know.
This will be good. It'll be a long edit for old Vince here.
Yeah, he's just thinking, my God, shut up.
Well, there's no editing involved as far, but there's audio matching, and that's whatever.
Oh yeah.
Anything, moving forward, Sarah? Anything? Is there any way for people to do research on you? Do you have any kind of literature that you would like folks to educate themselves on? Or
yeah, I mean, there's been quite a few interviews that I've done recently, so there's like videos and stuff like that. You could watch the Arctur video on YouTube. That's pretty cool. That's the sailboat. You can watch me talking about rescuing a baby during Hurricane Katrina. That's on YouTube. And honestly, if you just put my name in Google, it's like a couple pages worth of stuff that pops up. So you can read whatever you want to read about me.
Yeah, we'll put a bunch of those links in the show notes too, so people can just click on them and check them out.
Yeah.
Okay.
Hey, thanks so much, Sarah, for coming on today and yeah, just shedding light on everything. And yeah, I think you're a tremendous person, and I wish you the best in the future.
Thank you.
Yeah. So thanks for coming.
Thanks for having me. Thanks for letting me. It's a long story because it's 20 years worth, but thanks for letting me tell the whole thing, not just like the happy-go-lucky part of it.
Absolutely. All right. Well,
they go hand in hand. Okay, Zeus, we're going out in a minute.
All right. Well,
he's been crying the whole time.
Thanks again, and we'll catch you soon.
Okay. All right. See you guys.
Bye.
Bye. Thank you.
My first choice was down to the second story of that apartment building, and they handed me their baby like it was nothing, just gave him to me, and I was so terrified for that baby, of him starting to squirm or wiggle, for not knowing any better, and making it hard for me to hold him because the quick shop is too small for him. He didn't fit, so you just have to hold him in your arms, and I'm already 2 stories up and have to go up 100 feet, on a cable. I was holding on to him so tight, I had to check him to make sure I wasn't crushing him, because I was, just holding on to him so tight. But he was fine. I don't even think he was scared. I think he was too young to be scared. But the flight mech said when I came out from underneath the roof that he got chills because his son was about that same size, same age. So that was bad, that one. But then I did 3 more, and they weren't as bad as that one. But I don't think I'll forget that first baby.